Hello and welcome to our next edition of Cooking with Michael. First, as always, I want to thank everyone who watched our previous episode and who have been watching our previous episodes even before last week's. Thank you so much. It's great to see our viewership increase. It's great to see subscribers being added, and I hope you all are enjoying watching our show. We really love doing it. I want to say thanks to, of course, everyone who has been helping us as well. Tonight's dinner, nice dinner for a cold winter's evening, and a nice quick dinner as well. We're going to do a little bit differently than we have done. It's actually be in two parts. For you, you won't really notice it, but it's going to be in two parts. Why? Because we're going to be doing a crock pot dinner. If you watched my little short that I did earlier in the week, you saw that we showed you some of the tools and some of the products that can be effective and efficient for you when you are cooking. Make it easier for you as well. And one of the things that we talked about, of course, was a crock pot. And we are going to do a crock pot dinner tonight. It's going to be beef stew in the crock pot. Now, with that said, please know that it does take, if on the high setting, and crock pots have two settings, they have low and high. If you're doing a low setting, it takes anywhere from 10 to 12 hours to cook. If you do a high setting, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to cook. So we're going to be doing ours on a high setting. We're starting off earlier in the day, and we will show it, finish this up a little later on this evening, right before it's time to serve the food. We'll show you the ingredients we're going to use in just a couple of minutes here for the beef stew. Pretty easy. Seems like a lot, but it's pretty easy. And we're going to add biscuits at the end of it. We're not going to put it in there. We're going to make biscuits on the side, and that's what we're going to kind of use to kind of dip in the beef stew and as our bread for the beef stew. So sit back. I hope you enjoy this episode. We're looking forward to making it. It's going to be a fun one. The preparation is quick. The cooking time is the longest, but of course we won't keep you on for the 4 to 6 hours. But we'll come back at the end and show you what it looks like when it's all done. So sit back, watch, and we'll be right back. All right? Thank you. All right, as you can see, these are the ingredients we're using. Beef cubes, carrots, celery, potatoes, flour, beef broth, paprika, salt, pepper, Worcestershire sauce, minced garlic, and onion powder. So sit back, watch, and we'll show you how we put them all together to make a great beef stew. All right, and we're back. Just want to go ahead and begin the process, show you what we're going to do to make this beef stew. First things first, you want to take the carrots. You saw carrots, celery, and potatoes. Basically, you want to take 4 carrots, stalk of celery, and 3 potatoes. I did use, as you saw in the ingredients I just showed you, I did use the golden potatoes. I do think it gives a nice flavor, and they're also easier to chop up when they're raw, but it does give a nice flavor as well. We're going to use those. You're going to cube up those potatoes. You're going to cut the carrots into small slices, and you're going to cut the celery into small slices. And then what you're going to do is you're basically going to just lift up the top of your crock pot, and you're going to put them all in. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my broth. You take beef broth. 1.5 cups of beef broth. Okay, I've already measured it out for you. And I know we do this a lot, and we talk about what we do and don't measure. And in this case, we are going to measure the broth because you want to make sure that you have enough liquid in there. Even though the beef will make some liquid, and of course the vegetables, as they're cooking, will the inherent liquid inside the vegetables will come out, make it good too. You do want to add the beef broth. So 1.5 cups of beef broth. Beef broth. Put it right in there. And if you'll notice, by the way, a total side note, we have not opened up a beer or the Pinot Grigio tonight. Why? Because I still have 4 to 6 hours before this is done. So if I started now, I wouldn't be able to eat the beef stew. So we'll certainly open up a little Pinot Grigio later and have that with the beef stew. So anyway, put the beef broth in there. And then I'm going to reach over and I'm going to take flour, okay? Just regular all-purpose flour. I'm going to take a 1/4 cup. Okay, just reach in with my 1/4 cup, okay? And I'm going to just sprinkle it over top, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bay leaf. Just 1 bay leaf. Sorry, I'm getting out of the frame here. Take 1 bay leaf just for a little bit of flavor in here. And, oh, brand new bay leaves. Should I say where I got these? Should I? What the hell? Yes, we got it at Aldi. Yeah, it's been a long time since I said Aldi. Well, not really. It's only been since the last episode. But anyway, Aldi. We got it at Aldi. So we're going to take 1 bay leaf, and we're just going to go ahead and put that in there, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take ground pepper. We've talked about different types of pepper, whether coarse or fine or what have you, pepper grinder, things like that. In this, you want to use the ground pepper, the fine kind. Again, this is for taste. You're not actually trying for texture. Sometimes when we use the coarse pepper, we do it for texture. This is for taste. So I'm going to basically take 1 half teaspoon of pepper, and I'm just going to put it in there. And you know what? If you get a little more in there, it's not that big a deal. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paprika. Okay, I'm going to take my half measuring cup again, or my half measuring spoon again, and I'm going to do the paprika. And again, because we cook a lot, another open one or another unopened one. So I'm going to do that. And again, we've got this at Aldi. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little half teaspoon of paprika in here. And again, if you spill it and get a little bit in there, not a big deal. Okay? Then I'm going to reach over and I'm going to take my onion powder. You can use onions. You can use chopped up onions. It'll do the same thing. As I've talked about before, if you've watched my videos, you know I'm not a big fan of the actual onions. So I do like the onion powder because you get a nice taste out of it without the actual onions showing up in there. So I'm going to basically shake some onion powder on top. Okay? Then I am going to take my salt. And this I am going to use the salt grinder. Okay? And I'm just going to use sea salt, and I'm going to do a couple of twists. You want to put about a half a teaspoon of this as well. Again, you can always add more when it's done. So it's actually better to err on the light side of salt when you're cooking it and then add it to the individual bowl. Again, we talked about this before. Know your audience. If you have someone who maybe can't have salt in their diet or whatever, or light salt in their diet, put less salt in here and then salt your individual bowl when you scoop it out. Better way to do it, okay? So we've got that in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our Worcestershire sauce, okay? And as I, have said before, I don't really measure a whole lot. And the Worcestershire sauce, I'm not going to measure. So I'm going to put a couple of dashes of Worcestershire sauce in there. Just a couple of dashes, maybe a few more than a couple. Anyway, some dashes in there, we're good to go. Then I'm going to take my minced garlic. I'm going to take, I'm going to take, as we talked about, half a teaspoon equals 1 clove of garlic. So I'm going to take, I'm going to put in 1 clove of garlic. So I'm going to take a half a teaspoon also. Different half a teaspoon only because I'll use the other one instead of dirtying another one. So anyway, take a half a teaspoon of the garlic, okay? And we're going to put it right in top of there, okay? Put that in there. And now we're done with that, so I'll go ahead and put that in the sink. Now, final thing that goes in, cubed beef. As I always talk about, I went to my butcher today and I got him to cube up some sirloin, okay? Not a top shelf beef, but a good beef for beef stew, okay? So we're going to go ahead and you want to put about 2 pounds in there, okay? And you're basically just going to sprinkle it over top, okay? Let me get my other pound, that was 1 pound, okay? And we'll just put this over there. All right, so now you can look and see. It all goes right up to the top almost, okay? So that is pretty much the ingredients for the beef stew. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to look for a spoon. I got it, here we go. And I'm going to stir this before I turn it on, okay? I'm going to basically stir it. Now it will get a little bit smaller because again the vegetables will shrink a little bit as they cook. The meat will shrink a little bit as it cooks. But we're just going to stir this up. Try and mix it a little bit. It's not going to be the greatest or the easiest thing to do. May need to use 2 like I did. And just kind of stir it up inside the crock pot before you get the crock pot going. Okay? Not the easiest thing to do, but close the lid. Make sure it's closed. And you set the crock pot. Now again, what we talked about, you got a high and low setting on the crock pot. So if you do low setting, you want to do 10 to 12 hours. If we did that, we'd never freaking eat. Now, the good thing about that is, though, if you're doing this before the workday, by the time you get home, it's almost ready. It's fantastic. So, but we're going to put it on high. So we're going to select to high, and we're going to set this for 4 hours. Okay? And on these, once you set it, it automatically starts on the one that I have. So I'm going to let it sit, and that's it. In 4 hours, I'll come back. We'll put in some biscuits and have them nice and hot, ready for it. But this will be done in 4 hours, and then at that point, we can have ourselves a nice date night dinner with our loved one. Beef stew with some biscuits. And, of course, the Pinot Grigio, which I'll have pulled out by that point. So, again, that's where we are right now. Real quick, real easy. This is going to be a quick one, so at least video-wise. So we'll stay this. We'll come back in 4 hours, and I'll show you what it looks like. We'll try it. We'll taste it. We'll have our Pinot Grigio. We'll taste a biscuit, and we'll go from there. So sit back, and we'll see you right after the break. In your world, like I said, it'll be real quick. For our world, it'll be 4 hours. But sit back, relax, and we'll see you in just a moment. All right, and we're back. It has been 4 hours. Yes, that's right. It seems like no time has passed. But it really has. So 4 hours. During that time, I did make the biscuits, by the way. The biscuits, we just used the Pillsbury instant biscuits. Take them out of the pan, or take them out of that little container, like I said the other day. One of our previous episodes where you pop it and it makes a big loud pop or whatever. Put them in the oven for about 8 minutes or so, and they come out looking like a biscuit. So, but the good thing is the stew is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over. I'm going to grab my bowl. Oh, and of course, real quick, we did promise this. The Pinot Grigio did come out for this part of it. As I said, I couldn't start 4 hours ago, otherwise I never would have gotten to this point. So, pulled it out, have my sip, well, my glass, my sip. All right, so I got my Pinot Grigio, got that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the crock pot. And the good thing about these crock pots or slow cookers, whichever one you call them, they do kind of shut off on their own. Well, sort of. They do stay warm. They keep it on a warm, and then to shut it off completely, you just unplug it. So, but anyway, so I'm going to reach in. I'm going to go ahead and just grab some here. Grab some vegetables, some sauce, some of the beef, of course, potatoes, the soup, whatever, the stew. Okay. Put that down there. Close it up. And that's what it looks like. Unfortunately, I don't have a colored bowl other than the white one, so it's hard to see. But anyway, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to take my spoon. And I remember I told you about the salting. I'm not going to salt this until after I taste it. Again, salt to taste. I put a little bit in prior to cooking, but I leave it out and then let each individual person salt as they go. So anyway, we're going to go ahead. We're going to taste this. It's hot because it just came out of the crock pot. Oh, yes, very good. Very, very good. So I'm going to take a little more of this, actually. Excellent. Great beef stew and great biscuits. Really hard to screw up biscuits when they're instant. But anyway, great biscuits, great beef stew, great Pinot Grigio, and we're ready for a great date night. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you try the food. And again, if you have any comments, please feel free to share. If you know anybody who would enjoy it, please, please, please pass it on. As I always say, the more subscribers, the more likes, the more comments, the more we show up on people's feeds, the more people find us, and the more we can do more and more of these. So thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I hope you try the beef stew. I'm going to go have a great date night with my spouse, my loved one, my date night. Drink some Pinot Grigio and have some beef stew and some biscuits. So, again, thank you all very much. I hope you have a great evening. I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you next week, next Saturday night, 8 p.m., like clockwork, on Cooking with Michael. Have a great night, everyone. Good night.